Steph, I mean, in the sort of this whole, storm of worry, you've managed to somehow, cut through the fog and find some bright spots in the market.
Well, it's because we're long-term investors for sure, but also I focus on the fundamentals, because if I focused on only the macro and the day-to-day, by the way, macro and the VIX and the activity and all of this that's happening, I would lose money. I really would, because I mean, I can't predict day-to-day action. I'm looking at strong fundamentals. I'm looking at valuations. Valuations are really very, very important. I'm also looking for some catalysts. I mean, you can't just own a stock because it's cheap, certainly.
I was going to say, that's where I was going to come back to, because they can get cheaper.
For sure, absolutely.
They can get cheaper. But in the kind of environment that we're talking about, where the deepest fears lie, stocks can get cheaper.
So I've always focused on themes too, right? So I mean, I think, let's just take tech, for example. I mean, cloud, as I mentioned before, software, as I mentioned before.
You mentioned Intel before, too, which, by the way, cut to a sell today.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, that was nothing new. I mean, the stock is already down so much on 10-nanometer competition and AMD competition. Please, that's ridiculous. I mean, the stock is trading with 3.2% yield and 8% free cash flow yield. Data center is doing just fine. And oh, by the way, we're going to get a new CEO announcement in the next couple of weeks/months that I think could be a catalyst. So look, that's just exactly my point. There are specific stocks with specific stories, right? And there are themes that kind of overlay what I'm looking to buy and build out. So I'm looking at this, and I'm not whistling past the graveyard. I know that there are issues out there, but I do think that for long-term investors, you can actually find some bargains.
Two sells that you had I want to get into quickly before we run out of time. Goldman and Northrop.
Yeah, I mean,
Goldman's had a whole host of issues. The stock continues to sell off, and it feels like it's going down every day.
Well, I just think that the Malaysia issue is a big problem for them. It's a big overhang, and that is where I can't figure out what the fundamentals will be, because I don't know what they're going to be fined. So I really do like the 19 story eventually when they get this behind them, but this reminds me very much of Wells Fargo and the sales practice issues, and it's just going to be an overhang. And oh, by the way, I have other banks that have actually fallen just as much, and I think that their valuations are interesting. And Northrop, I think that it's just going to be difficult to fight the defense budget peaking story, because that's really why defense
The president was even commenting on that, right? I mean, that's somewhat of a change.
So it's interesting. I mean, it's cheap. It's a good management team. I really do like it longer term. But I think some of the other industrials where I put the money, Union Pacific, I think those fundamentals are actually just about to start to accelerate.